Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Vivek Ramaswamy, and I want to start a small series of discussion of states and descriptors. And if you support Vivek Ramaswamy, and if you're on this channel, there's a very good chance that that is the case. Then you are really a special American. You are not a normal American. You are an American that is engaged in something truly incredible, and the stakes of which most people don't really understand at all, but you do, right? So let's get into this. So first of all, let's just, call a glade, right? You and I support Vivek Ramaswamy. We celebrate him every day because of the hope he represents, because of the capability he brings, because of the comet momentum he has to shatter every single staid, tired, systematic prejudice that America suffers from right now, right? So we are really we are putting our hopes on him, right? And if we're right and we're able to lift Vivek Ramaswamy into the 2024 U.S. presidency, which I believe we will be able to, and the reason why is because of Dianne Feinstein. I am very confident we are heading toward a coffin event on President Joseph Biden due to his age, or President Donald Trump due to his age. I don't think there's any possibility either one of them will ever complete a second term. I don't see any possibility of it. I think Dianne Feinstein is the truth, right? Like, that's, in my humble opinion, that's the reality of it. That's the reality of it, right? So we have this. And we have this hope in Vivek, and I want to explain that, and what's happening right now. This is real. You are seeing a very real division, right? A division into political followers as heroes and villains, right? So anyone who is trying to make President Joseph Biden a second-term president is a villain, in my humble opinion, flat out. I'll just say it, and the reason why is lesser of two evils, right? They're like, I'm not going to choose the greater of two evils, but I certainly will make sure that we are governed by evil for another 4 years, right? Lesser of two evils. Same thing with President Donald Trump. Supporters of establishment candidates, President Donald Trump, President Joseph Biden, they'll tell you flat out, I'm choosing the lesser of two evils. It's a saying because it's at the macro level, it's what they're doing, right? And you know what? I'll say this: at the macro level, those supporters are villains, right? I do think there's a few people on the margin who are simply confused, but at the 51% level, you are absolutely looking at pure dyed-in-the-wool villains. They're saying we choose to be governed by evil so that the establishment we have remains, right? I don't think anyone in good conscience can vote for President Biden or President Trump. I don't believe it for 1 second, right? We are heroes. We are saying, hey, we will shatter the Ward Cleaver wall. We will shatter the idea that only Ward Cleavers can be American presidents. And anyone who upholds that, they are absolutely villainous, in my opinion. Perhaps a few exceptions on the margins, but at the macro level, pure villainy. No two ways about it. But you and I are heroes. And who else? Hey, let's call a glade, right? Tim Scott and Nikki Haley, those supporters are in the same boat as us. They are trying to shatter the systematic problem of Ward Cleaver presidents in our country, right? They're with us. They are also heroes, right? So in this, we have to talk about states and descriptors, okay? There are 4 states that we receive information through, and we use descriptors to describe those states. The first of the 4 states is truth, okay? Truth. What is truth, right? It is a state that we experience as we support Vivek Ramaswamy, and we need to be connected to it, right? And we need to understand it, right? And truth so truth, what is truth? Truth is absolute, right? Absolute correctness, absolutely right? Truth. Now, I'm going to surprise you. What's truth? Jesus Christ is truth, okay? I'm an evangelical Christian. That's truth. I know it, right? I can't prove it to you, right? Like, and the reason why is it's accepted on faith, but it's truth. It's so rock solid that I have more faith that Jesus Christ is truth, and that is, and the will of God the Father, the will of the Holy Spirit, and the will of Jesus Christ is the cement hard floor that this world sits on. Many people don't understand this, but it is truth, right? And the reality is, once you realize that, right, that's one of the reasons why I'm in such support of Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek Ramaswamy don't believe in God the Father. He don't believe in Jesus Christ. And he certainly doesn't believe in the Holy Spirit. But he is a person of faith. He does believe in the supernatural. He will talk about God openly. And from that perspective, he's closer to the truth than any other candidate I know, right? And, you know, I've explained Donald Trump isn't even remotely a Christian. And I don't believe that, I don't even believe Joseph Biden is even a person of faith, let alone the faith he actually claims to be. And that's not hard, because like the highest rulers in his religion are like, no, you're not one of us, right? Like, even they're saying it, right? Like, he's not a person of faith, right? And so there's this truth. Now, how do we describe truth? How do we talk about events within truth, right? Well, it's the epic, okay? An epic is how it is the structure we use to talk about truth. Truth exists, it is a state, and we use epics to describe truth, okay? Now, you're like, Scott, what are you talking about? I get it. I understand, right? So this is confusing to you. The reason, and honestly, if you're a Biden supporter, I apologize. I just said at the beginning, you could skip this entire series, right? None of this is for you. You don't need any support to support evil and to put forward evil, right? Nobody needs to talk philosophy to you, right? Like, you know what you're doing, right? You know what you're doing. You know you're picking the lesser of two evils, and it makes you evil, right? That's where we're at, okay? All right? But if you are supporting someone who has the full capability to literally shatter the greatest systematic prejudices of our time and reshape leadership in America, you need a deeper level of thinking. You need to have a structure to receive information today, okay? And the greatest truth, okay? And why am I even taking the time to say this, right? Well, right now, America's in its second war. Our first war right now is Ukraine, right? It's like, and you're like, Scott, that's not our war. It's 100% our war. And the reason why is every war that breaks out in the real world, and by the way, what's a war? A war is where tanks are shooting at tanks, right? Like a war is where tanks are engaged, right? But we had our first war, right? Ukraine. And that war is being forgotten because of our second war, which is broken out, which is two other groups, two other entities that are now, one has tanks. I don't think the other one has tanks, right? But it's still a war. It's declared war. And America is entering its second war, right? And it is very difficult for me to listen to news on this because those people literally don't understand. Like, the reason this war is happening is because the reason for it is literally written in the stars by God himself. And if you don't understand that, just nonsense comes out of your mouth. You have no structure. You don't have the language. You don't have the history. You don't have the knowledge to even discuss the second war that America's in right now. You know, and these are our wars because we have the ability to end them in a week. We can jump. Any war that happens in the world, it's America's war because it only continues because we choose it to continue. We can end any war in the world in a week. It's a 7-day project. Doesn't matter what your war is, we can shut it down, right? So it's our war, right? And the reality is, truth is important, right? And the way we talk, the way we discuss truth, the way we capture truth is an epic, okay? So that is the first of this series, talking about states and descriptors. And the reason you need this is as a hero of American politics, not a villain, all right? Not choosing the lesser of two evils. You will need a different structure to understand what's coming, right? And that's another thing. The reason why I'm taking the time to do this, and I know this isn't fun, right? Like, Scott, breaking out a series, like you got to listen to each one in sequence. Wow, oh boy, right? Got to do some homework, right? It's not fun. I get it, right? But the reality is where we're going, you have to have a structure for it. And because increasingly, I realize that part of the problem we have is we're having discussions where people involved in these discussions don't have the language, don't have the history, don't have the knowledge. They don't have a structure for understanding and receiving information. I'm going to deliver that structure for you. Thank you for your patience. This is the first one in this series. It'll all be in a playlist. Playlist is linked below. And it won't be too long. I'll be able to get it done within 5-6 videos. Thanks for your patience. Every single word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.